I stepped into the living room with Mark, a man I had secretly been seeing for months. John, my husband, sat on the couch, absorbed in a TV show. His face brightened when he saw me, but the smile vanished the moment he noticed Mark beside me. "John, we need to talk," I said, my voice trembling. John turned off the TV, confusion spreading across his face. "This is Mark," I continued, gesturing toward him. "He wants you to share me with him. And we can't say no." John's face paled. He didn't reply, just stood abruptly and walked out. The sound of the toilet flushing echoed in the silence, leaving Mark and me frozen, unsure what would happen next. Mark shrugged, his calm demeanor showing no concern. We stood awkwardly, minutes stretching like hours, thickening the tension. I nervously glanced at the closed door, waiting for John's return. What would he say? How would he react? After what felt like eternity, footsteps approached. John re-entered, his expression unreadable. He held a small silver keychain, its metal glinting as it swung from his fingers. "What's that?" I whispered. John remained composed. "This," he said calmly, "is the key to a new beginning." His words hung heavily in the air. Mark shifted uneasily beside me. John continued, his voice steady but laced with quiet fury. "You bring another man into our home, into our marriage, and expect me to accept this?" I swallowed hard, guilt and fear knotting my chest. "John, You made your choice," he interrupted coldly. "Now you'll both face the consequences." He walked away, leaving us stunned. Minutes later, John returned with a small box, the one that held our wedding rings. My heart sank as he opened it, revealing its hollow interior. "I flushed our rings down the toilet," he said, his voice eerily calm. "Guess we won't need them anymore." Shock and disbelief crashed over me. Mark stood awkwardly, unsure how to react. John placed the empty box on the table with deliberate care and sat back on the couch. His posture relaxed but his eyes burning with an intensity I'd never seen. "John, why?" My voice trembled. "Because you brought him into our marriage," he said sharply, "and expected everything to stay the same." Tears welled in my eyes. "I love you, John, but I also love Mark. I thought we could make this work." John shook his head slowly. "You can't have us both. The moment you brought him here, you chose." Mark stepped forward hesitantly. "Maybe we can talk, find a solution?" "The only solution," John snapped, "is for both of you to leave." The finality of his words silenced the room. Mark and I gathered our things under John's stony gaze. As we stepped into the cool night air, the door shut behind us with a quiet, devastating finality. I glanced back once. John stood framed in the doorway, his silhouette a ghost of the life we'd shattered. The confrontation was over, but the consequences had only just begun. I couldn't shake the feeling that John wasn't finished with us. His eerie calmness was too composed, too accepting for the gravity of what had happened. I knew him well enough to sense it. Beneath that quiet exterior, he was plotting something. Days passed in a haze of unease. Sleep and appetite abandoned me, replaced by the echoes of John's icy anger and the wreckage of our marriage. Mark tried to soothe me, urging us to move forward, but my gut whispered that John had a plan, one meant to destroy us. Then one evening a text arrived. "Come back home. We need to talk." Mark frowned as he read it over my shoulder. "You can't seriously be considering this," he said, his voice thick with concern. I hesitated, torn between dread and curiosity. "I need to know what he's planning." "He won't forgive this," Mark warned. "It could be a trap." But the gnawing uncertainty won. I needed answers, closure however brutal. The drive back was agony. Every mile tightened the knot in my stomach. When I arrived, the house stood silent, bathed in twilight's glow. I stepped inside, my pulse roaring in my ears. John waited in the living room, a bottle of wine between us. His gaze met mine, unreadable. "You came," he said, his voice devoid of the fury I'd expected. I nodded, words failing me. The air was thick with unspoken accusations. He gestured to the couch. I sat, the space between us a chasm. He poured 2 glasses, sliding one toward me. Took it wary. Minutes crawled by before he spoke. "I've had time to think," he began, eyes locked on mine. "About us." I braced myself. "John, Listen," he cut in softly. "I'm not here to relive the past. What's done is done. But we move forward on my terms." His calmness unnerved me more than rage ever could. "A fresh start," he continued. "You and Mark leave town tonight. Never return." The demand struck like a slap. "John. Non-negotiable." His tone was steel. "You brought him into our home. Now you both disappear. We'll pretend this never happened. What about us?" My voice cracked. His face softened just for a second. "There is no us. Not after this." Tears spilled over. "Please." "Too late for please." He sighed. "You chose. Now live with it." Silence smothered the room. The wine turned bitter on my tongue. Finally I whispered, "I'll go." John nodded. "Goodbye."